Atepu, namaste. This is Kasakma Keparu here with another broadcast. And I want to talk to you about why we must always have an enemy. You know, I was talking with a good buddy of mine, and we were talking about North Korea. And he felt that North Korea represented a threat. And I was trying to tell him, I said, there's always going to be a threat. And that these threats, in most cases, are manufactured. So, I want to talk a little bit about this concept of creating an enemy. Now, you know, if you're someone who's paying attention to the news media and someone who's good at looking and picking up on patterns, you'll see it. It's very obvious that the news media is in cahoots with the government to create a climate of fear. The news media is one of the biggest propagandists and liars, and there's nothing about them that speaks the truth. In fact, all of them, all of the outlets say the exact same thing. And there's no investigative reporting, which is actually a joke to say that these guys are independent and investigating. They don't investigate anything, because the mere fact that you question 9/11, they start calling you conspiracy theories, unpatriotic, and you have a right to question everything, especially when it comes to your government, who has proven to lie time and time again. So the idea is like every time a president, I've always said this, that we get a president in office, he has to approve a couple of things. Like number one, that he's a Christian. Number two, he supports Israel, you know, and he always has some slogan about change, peace. I'm not part of the system. I'm a billionaire. I'm independent. And the American people seem to fall for this every time, you know, and it's like a broken record, you know. I'm just trying to figure out, like, is it because there's fluoride in the water and we're just too much like sheeple, you know, go along with things? Is that what's that chemical is what's making us so compliant and obedient? Because, you know, it's so obvious when you see. Now we have the North Korea. It's the threat. So we have, you know, Kim Jung-Un. He's now the new. What was it before? We had, let me see, Osama bin Laden. We had Saddam Hussein, Castro. Oh, now it's Muslims. Now it's North Korea. Before it was the Soviet Union. You know, it's like every time we turn around, there is an enemy that we have to focus our attention. And what this is a distraction, because when you don't have that enemy and that distraction, you start looking at the real people in control and manipulating, the puppet masters, which is nothing more than a cabal. And they're the ones that are controlling the media and creating this fictionalized war, you know. And of course we do go to war because the war is profit. You have your warmongers, you know, that they sell arms to both sides, and these big corporations like Lockheed Martin, who are, you know, like building all this military and many like investing in black ops projects and lasers and all of this, you know, all of these. What it is that they're profiting, because there has to be a war. There has to be an enemy, because the big corporations walk away like bandits because it's good for their economy. It's good. The more contracts they got to build more military weapons, the better. And what does Hollywood do? Hollywood pumps out your Rambo films. It pumps out all your war films to make to increase the idea of patriotism, the ideology that, you know, this country is right no matter what. And meanwhile, this country is doing nothing but invading and colonizing other third world countries, going in there, raiding their central banks, bankrupting them, toppling the democratically elected leaders, making them look like villains. This is what we're doing, you know. And the thing about all of this is that no one is stopping to question and say, you know what? This is the same game they play every time, and we're falling for it, and we don't see it coming. You know, I mean, when we saw Barack Obama come into the office, he ran on the office of change, and he started, you know, bombing and started another war, using drones to bomb children. Now we have another president who claims he's like, I guess, a maverick, or he's a billionaire, he's outside of the system, but he's doing the same thing. Now he wants to go to war with North Korea, because now North Korea is the enemy. So this idea of this enemy to keep us focused on is so old. And let me just take you back through history, because I want you to understand something very, very clear. We have been lied to in terms of the history of this planet, or the history of this country in general. Everything that you have been told is a flat out lie. Nothing is as it seems. All right. You have to question everything. Now let's go back. We have to ask ourselves, why did all of these ancient cultures who were at the zenith of civilization, that they were of high culture, high morality, why did they all topple? Why? Because there was a ruling elite, even back then, who had an agenda for the direction of the planet. And they set out on a course to take down these high culture civilizations. And in doing so, they hoarded the wealth and the knowledge. And they put us back thousands of years in terms of wisdom and knowledge and who we should be. Right now, the masses of people on the planet, of what we call humans, are acting as savages. You know, when you look at movies like, let's take, for example, The Walking Dead. Now, one of the things that makes The Walking Dead very interesting is it's not so much the zombie scenario, the zombie apocalypse, but how we as humans respond in crisis situations, which the Cabal is very interested in knowing. Because you know what? When they wiped out the cultures that were predominantly right brain, or I should say integrated brain thinkers, not left brain as the way we are now, when they wiped out those cultures, one of the things they did was took away a knowledge of who we were, of self, as God man and God woman. We were spiritual creatures. We didn't need police. There was no, you know, we didn't have pedophiles running around. We didn't have serial killers running around. You know, the human body was not seen as simple. And if you looked at the naked body, you didn't have lustful thoughts, because you were raised in such a way that you were spiritual and communed with nature and God and the universe. But what they did is when they took down the Library of Alexandria, they took all that wisdom and knowledge and they hoarded it for themselves. And they created their own elite faction. And now they're ruling the planet. And you will never see them. They're hidden. Okay? So we now are acting like animals. And if you look at The Walking Dead, as I said before, the interesting thing to note is how these individuals respond in crisis. And what you will see is that they turn against each other. They emulate animalistic behavior. And this is who we are. We are socially engineered now, that we have lost our spiritual connection to source, to the universe. And this is by design. Put the pieces together. They topple down, destroy all ancient cultures and ancient knowledge and wisdom, where the people lived a high moral and ethical life. They didn't need a book of laws like the Bible or Quran. They didn't need that, because it was inside of them. This is where the concept of Tahuti came from, to intuit, or where the Tao came from, the way, because the wisdom came from within and not from an external force or intermediary, a man to talk to God, to relay what God's word is. It came from within. But when this cabal, this ruling elite, saw an opportunity to take control of the planet, in which they did, they created these other religions, Catholicism, Judaism, Islam, which were externalized religions that relied on the left brain, which relied on oratory skills and verbal discourse, not on meditation, trance, induction, hypnotherapy, reaching higher states of consciousness, none of that, because that would tune you back into the universe and you would gain higher spiritual knowledge. So they created these religions to have everybody be indoctrinated into that and to be slaves to those religions. This is how they can control the planet, by doing this. And not only that, but to ensure that you did not go back to that ancient religion, those ancient ways, they created this concept, this devious concept called racism. So they said that, oh, you see those primitive people of color, their religion is pagan. It's sinful. It's evil. They are the enemy. You know what? Your religion that's in a book that you must read every Sunday is godly. And anything that's lighter or whiter is spiritual, and anything darker is evil. This is the very means and method by which they took control of the planet. And what they did was they impregnated this virus into the ether, and they uploaded this, And now we have downloaded this virus into our consciousness, and we're acting in accord with their wishes, their virus. Because you do realize that, you know, you can hack the mind, that you can implant an idea, because we're all connected according to Ma'at principle. We're all connected, and your thoughts are not your own. Thoughts are transferable. You understand? Energy vibrations are transferable. We're picking up on each other's thoughts and vibrations. So when one acts a certain way, if enough people act in accord, it will spread like a virus, and it will create something called a culture, or create actions that may be adverse or you know, pro-life, depending upon what you've uploaded into the ether. And they're very good on understanding the psyche and understanding these metaphysical principles and how to operate this way. Because they know that they have gotten us to a state of animalistic behavior. If all electricity went tomorrow and the world was in darkness, everyone would panic and start raiding stores and going out, killing each other, rape, pillaging, because we aren't spiritual. We don't know. We have lost our contact to source. In ancient cultures, that would be unheard of to act in that way. But this is what happens when you have a select group, the 1%, ruling the 99%. And they have taken history and vilified the very people that could have saved humanity. And we are just going along with it. Because you know what? Because the way we are now, which is polarized in the left brain, and what does the left brain do? It labels, defines things, it separates things. So we are acting in the way that's it's in accord with the filter, the left brain. You know, hey, we see things as good or evil, black or white. We have no understanding of how to deal with duality. Ancient cultures embraced duality. They understood contradictions were a part of life. And contradictions didn't mean battle. It didn't mean conflict. It just means that you embrace both sides and learn to live with both sides. We're in this society, the exact opposite is true. You go to school, it's like, oh, well, this is right. No, this is wrong. You're good, you're bad. No, I'm sorry. And this is what every student is indoctrinated into. And we're indoctrinated into left brain learning, which is just regurgitation of information. We don't know how to actually intuit knowledge and wisdom. We don't know how to download it from the Akashic records. We don't know how to go into the ether and bring out that wisdom and knowledge of our ancient ancestors, because all of us is seen as esoteric. You see, because once they label things as you're a conspiracy theorist, or you are a part of the New Age group, you're a kook, you're crazy, then, you know, everybody's going along with the matrix, the system. And then when we continue to do this, there's no hope for humanity. There's no hope for humanity. And your hope doesn't rely on someone else's religion in a book that's printed in a book. And it's called the Word of God, when I've never known God to have a favorite people or write something in a book. That's nonsense, you know, because all are the one and the one is all. God is everything, hence it can be no one thing. So God is no man standing there writing in a book saying, this is my word. But when you get this elite, and the only reason that evil is allowed to prosper, because good men do nothing. And that's what they're counting on us doing, nothing. And they know we will do nothing, because the majority of us just go along with what the boob tube tells us, what the media tells us. Whatever the media says, we believe. Oh yeah, okay, you know, okay, Trump is different. He's not going to do things you know, he's an outsider. He's a billionaire. He's an outsider. Yes, okay, I'll vote. Yeah, he'll make things better. Oh, next president. Oh, he'll make things better. Oh, next president's a woman. She'll make things better. And you keep relying on that. Oh, who's the enemy tomorrow? Martians. Oh, these Martians. We got to kill these Martians. No, but the enemy is the black people. We got to kill the black people. Oh, no, the enemy is the Muslims. No, the enemies are pork chops. We got to kill pork chops. Pork chops are the enemy. Always an enemy. The media propagates this. The media is in line. It's a conspiracy. They're in line with our government to basically tell us what to think, and how to pick our battles. Who's our enemy? Maybe the people who are telling you that this individual or these people are the enemy are really your enemy. You know? So let's start examining what's going on and what we're being told. All I'm saying is this: you don't have to believe everything. Just start asking questions. Just start saying, why is there an enemy every time a president comes into office? Why is there another war? You know, look at these contracts, these government contracts that these agencies are getting to build this military equipment. Who are the heads, the CEOs, and how are they making all this money, and they're profiting off war? So maybe if they're making money and profiting off war, maybe that's why we always have a war, because it's good for business. And maybe that's why we always have to create an enemy. You know? So anyway, question everything and don't sit by and just allow things to go. Because if you do nothing, then you become part of the problem. So this is Kasak Ma Keparu. If you like this broadcast, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and that's all for now. Amen Ra.